The job of a video game ad is to lure players in and get them to buy a product. So as a result, what you usually get is a bite-sized example of all the highlights and all the good little bits and pieces that are going to make you want to part with your dollars. With this in mind, most companies want to cram as much stuff in as possible. Still, not all gaming ads are created equal, as there are plenty that withhold information to keep you on your toes. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 times video game adverts lied, and it was the best. Number 10, Elden Ring. Has the internet talked up Elden Ring to death? Look, probably yes, but has it earned every little bit of that praise? Kind of, yeah, and the bit we're going to be talking about today is related to how the game was sold. The marketing for Elden Ring gave the industry a familiar taste, as it looked just like something you would expect FromSoft to produce. A cryptic narrative? Check. Difficult boss fights? Check. Detail-rich areas? Check. It was all there. However, one major difference was the reveal that the game would be open world. Gamers were keen to see what this legendary company's approach to open world gaming would be. However, the marketing material refused to give them a taste, focusing on the traditional staples of Soulsborne games instead. As such, it was easy to assume that the whole open world mechanic was going to be way less game-changing than it ended up being. When Elden Ring dropped, players were amazed by how intensely it switched up the formula. Exploring the lands between was an unbeatable gaming experience, and leading players into it with little idea of what they'd really be getting into was an inspired move by FromSoft. Number 9, Batman Arkham Knight. Rocksteady's trailer campaign for the third installment of their Arkham trilogy focused on Gotham City's power struggle after the Joker's death in the previous game. Almost every ad had the sentiment of the Joker is dead and the franchise is moving on. But were they? Well, Rocksteady really tried to make it seem that way, as the game's intro even showed Joker's body getting cremated like a Firefly attack. However, as everyone who's played the title knows, Joker found his way back, shocking players with his sudden appearance inside Bruce Wayne's head. The marketing team could have absolutely used the character to drum up attention, as Mark Hamill's legendary rendition of the Joker is now a synonymous part of the series, but they opted to keep his presence a secret. Of course, there were plenty of gamers who anticipated they'd probably find a way to have him return, which is why not everyone was taken aback by this reveal, despite the campaign's efforts, but those who trusted the ads were definitely aghast and surprised. Number 8, Cyberpunk 2077. Everyone knows the Cyberpunk 2077 trailers lied by making people think it would be a polished masterpiece and not a buggy mess. But let's ignore the disastrous launch of this epic sci-fi tale for a second and acknowledge the far cooler deception that the E3 trailer had to offer. The iconic 2019 cinematic ad for CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077 didn't shy away from dropping big narrative beats. However, one thing it did hold close to its chest was the reveal of the secret that lay behind Keanu Reeves' character, who turned out to be rocker boy turned terrorist Johnny Silverhand. Silverhand's appearance, demeanor, and presence made it seem like he'd be a firm ally to V. As such, gamers everywhere thought they'd be joyfully burning down a city alongside the beloved actor. But of course, the samurai frontman's role in the game wasn't that cooperative. Overall, Silverhand was more of a curse than an ally, with the trailer making his chaotic energy physical threat to V and introduction throughout the Arasaka biochip a far bigger and way more entertaining surprise. To be fair though, there's a large element of your relationship with him that is ultimately left up to you. If you think he's annoying and want to keep things icy, you certainly can, but if you want to try and form a bond with the anti-hero, you can do that as well. Number 7, Final Fantasy VII Remake. When a video game remake is announced, it's safe to assume you'll get the same thing in a shinier package. Even titles that rebuild their predecessors from the ground up, like Resident Evil 2 or Shadow of the Colossus, stick to the same narrative beats. However, Final Fantasy VII did things a little differently. This epic retread of the beloved classic advertised itself as a faithful retelling of the groundbreaking game, albeit with a whole new look and gameplay style. However, when playing, it became very quickly apparent this wasn't just a remake and retelling, it was kind of even closer to a sequel. The game mostly follows the same story, but it chucks in plenty of surprises along the way. It makes notable alterations to the narrative, including introducing characters early, expanding the roles of supporting figures, and even bringing multiverse elements into play to really mess with the idea of it being a remake. Not everyone was happy about these changes, but there's no denying it made the remake feel unpredictable and original, but still familiar. Number 6, Mandor. Okay, let's see what we got here. Indie horror title, unique sketchbook art style, first-person perspective, and all made by a developer who does not have a Wikipedia page. All right, sounds like an atmospheric walking simulator, right? Well, not quite. The games industry is awash with indie games that place you in a small-scale environment and tell a compelling story with straightforward mechanics. Not only does Mandor fit that bill aesthetically, but the trailer itself all but confirmed that's the experience you were gonna get. Of course, those who played this one will know that there's plenty more to this chilling Swiss tale than the trailer implies. Some elements it doesn't even acknowledge include the vehicle you'll travel in, the fact that you can actively fight back against the terrifying creatures, and plenty of the later stage environments that expand on the game world. Overall, this short teaser barely covers the first hour of gameplay. While Mandor is hardly a massive AAA game, it at least offers a much deeper experience than anything you would have expected from how it was advertised. Number 5. Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. If you were going to ask a room of Nintendo fans which is the biggest new mechanic that they brought out in Tears of the Kingdom, you'd probably have almost everyone there saying Ultra Hand. There's no denying the ability to create close to anything you wanted in Tears of the Kingdom was a massive part of the gameplay experience. However, the sheer depth available with this mechanic came as a surprise to everybody, as the advertisements really sold it short. Ultra Hand was as absent in the main Tears of the Kingdom trailers as guests at Tingle's birthday party. Sure, there were glimpses here and there, but nothing fully breaking the ability down. On top of that, even when Nintendo did show the ability off, such as in the second Nintendo Direct trailer and a live stream with the legendary Eiji Aonuma, it was just a rundown of the basics. Naturally, this lack of exposure to the mechanic beforehand then enhanced the organic experience tenfold, as players could figure out the scope and intricacies for themselves. It also helped relieve concerns that the game would feel like a fully priced DLC. Video game trailers usually stamp the title's central feature front and center, but Nintendo opted to keep their secrets safe with this one. Number 4. Doky Doky Literature Club. The secret of Doky Doky Literature Club is absolutely out of the bag at this point, but if somehow you've managed to avoid it and you do want to play the game, I'm gonna spoil it for you, so you won't want to pay attention to this entry. But if you don't mind, let's crack into it. The ads for this game leading up to its free release in 2017 did nothing to excite the general public, as it presented itself as a simple high school dating simulator, something only a niche crowd tends to flock to. However, some were a little curious thanks to the trailer's opening line, which said, "This game is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed." Well, when a small crowd of people did decide to pick up the game, they were sort of surprised in a good way or surprised in a really bad way, because it turns out instead of a cutesy dating simulator, you were getting a purebred horror game. Word of mouth then spread across the internet, causing people to search for the game, become confused, try it out, get shocked by its brutality, then cycle around and tell others to try it too. If there were a university course about selling video games based on a lie, this game would take up the whole syllabus. Number 3, Spec Ops: The Line. If Doky Doky Literature Club didn't take up the whole syllabus, then Spec Ops: The Line would have been the other half. This game is absolutely infamous for being sold one way and then turning out to be a completely different product. Was this good for 2K financially? No, it was not. But was it great artistically? Absolutely. Judging this game based on its trailers and promotional material left a lot of people thinking, okay, cool, it's another generic third-person shooter for people with a military fetish, how very original. But that power fantasy soon turned sour for players who fell for it. Without delving into spoilers, Spec Ops is a haunting story addressing the real implications of war. It doesn't shy away from the messy stuff, telling a powerful tale about the dangers faced by civilians, the impact of mental health in a war zone, the perils of American imperialism, and plenty more themes along that vein. Those who went in expecting a fun shoot-'em-up instead received a challenging narrative and a gaming experience that's really few and far between. Sadly, this advertising method also shot the game in the foot, as the generic presentation failed to stir up marketing attention, leading it to flop financially. Number 2, God of War Ragnarok, Valhalla. It's par for the course that downloadable AAA game content packs little narrative punch. Most DLC expansions, barring examples like The Witcher 3's Blood and Wine or Skyrim's Dawnguard, focus on fresh gameplay challenges rather than story. Now, God of War Ragnarok Valhalla seemed like it was going to go down that route, but Sony sold it short and did so very deliberately. The trailer and overall ads for the game painted it as a roguelike combat challenge designed to explore the game's tight fighting mechanics. Players would likely have been delighted with that in and of itself, but don't be fooled, as this is a story expansion. Valhalla is not just a chance to beat on more enemies, it also packs a meaty dose of character development for Kratos. It masterfully explores the PlayStation mascot's relationship with his past and even addresses where his future will take him. Additionally, its look back into Kratos' early years serves as a really lovely nostalgic retrospective, so it manages to look back lovingly on the games that came before it, and also serves as a really wonderful epilogue to Ragnarok, but you never would have guessed it from the ads. Number 1, PT. Who can forget PT? This horror game captivated the internet in 2014 with the simple lie that it was a free-to-play spookfest with no hidden agenda. Of course, that was never the case, as the entire thing was an ad for something much bigger. For those unaware, this short gaming experience directed by Hideo Kojima in collaboration with Guillermo del Toro gave players a horror title so scary, most people couldn't even finish it. I certainly couldn't. However, those brave and resourceful enough, or let's place it, probably looked it up on YouTube, because boy was it hard to solve the things at the end of that thing, but you were absolutely rewarded if you did get to the end, either by your own merit or again by YouTube, because it turns out the whole thing was an ad for Silent Hills, the next Silent Hill game that was going to be made by Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro. This will likely go down as one of gaming's best reveals, as Silent Hill was a property that had been starved of new content for years. Discovering there was going to be a fresh game in the franchise was absolutely delightful, and the fact that it was going to be built on a playable teaser that was already this good was mouthwatering. Of course, this tale has a tragic ending, which you probably already know, because the whole relationship between Konami and Hideo Kojima kind of exploded in a deeply melodramatic fashion. But at least we got Death Stranding out of it, which is great for those of you like me, if you like Death Stranding. If you didn't like Death Stranding, play me out.